Hello and welcome to the Midlothian ISD Community Update. I'm Brooklyn Kaufman and I'm here with our new superintendent, Dr. Joanne Fay. Welcome, I'm so glad you're here. I thought it would be really awesome just to sit down and ask you a few questions so we could get to know you a little bit better.
Well, thank you, and I'm excited to be here with you, Brooklyn, and with the community of Midlothian.
So what drew you to our district?
When I started looking for superintendent roles across the state of Texas, I wanted to make sure that I was applying to a community and to a district that aligned with my core values. In addition to that, I also have a young daughter that I'm bringing with me, and I wanted to make sure that she would have a good experience in a transition. So I've been at one place for 26 years, and definitely Midlothian does align with my values, and so I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Yeah, so I married my high school sweetheart, and we've been married for over a few years, a little over 26 years now. And we spent about 4 years in the military, in the Department of the Army, and we were in Georgia, we were in Alabama, and then finally in Korea. And while he was in Korea, it was called an unaccompanied tour, and so I ended up back in Texas and decided to go home and be with my father, who had just had a massive heart attack. And so I had just finished my master's in business administration and decided to go ahead and take a teaching role in the community where I grew up. Fell in love with teaching and coaching, and I haven't looked back. And so I have been a head basketball coach. I've served as an AP, an assistant principal, an academic dean, a principal of a massive comprehensive high school in San Antonio. And then I went to central office and became an assistant superintendent. And I knew then, probably the first day in central office, that I wanted to be a superintendent. And so I've spent about 7-8 years learning from some really good mentors in the system where I came from. And I'm just happy to be here. And this is my first opportunity to really do great work with students and with the community as a superintendent. And so I'm excited about that.
We're very excited to have you as well. I know you were a decorated athlete at SMU. Talk about the relationship between athletics and academics and the other extracurricular activities.
Yeah, so I have a bit of experience as a student athlete, and I have an experience as a coach as well, so as a head basketball coach. And I will tell you, the most important, I think, thing for me as a head basketball coach was to make sure that my girls understood the quality of education, because education is a game changer for some people's lives. I come from a system that is very unlike Midlothian ISD, but the kids are just as good, and I'm excited about them as I am about getting to meet and be part of the students from Midlothian ISD.
You said that you had a daughter that was coming here with you, and you also have a husband and 3 children, so tell us all about your family.
Yeah, so married my high school sweetheart, I think I already said that. We've been married for over 25 years. I have an older son named Jacob. He just graduated from Texas A&M Kingsville. He was a football player there, defensive end. And then I have Morgan, who is a sophomore at Rice University, and she too is an athlete. And then I have young Madeline, who has been just a delight and a pleasure. And she surprised me a little bit this year. We took her to the a few track meets in her lifetime. I never thought that she wanted to do track, as she would be on her phone and be under her blankets. And little did I know that she would be a state champion as a freshman in high school. And so she will hopefully be a state champion for the Panthers, and we will get to enjoy her for a couple years. So I'm excited about that.
What do you remember from your personal school experience that will influence your decisions as the new superintendent?
I think that one of the things that I always remember about not only being a student in elementary school, but in high school and then college, and then since then I feel like I've always been in school, the magic happens with the teacher, right? It did for me. I'm assuming that it has for most of you in the school system. And I always want to remember that when I'm making decisions about staff, and then always remember that the most important person in a school system to a child is going to be their teacher. It's not going to be the superintendent, unfortunately. I'm just going to be that teacher in that classroom. And so I'm excited about that. I think that has been a game changer for me. Actually, my teacher / coach, some of my best mentors have been in the classroom. And then my life coach is probably my coach from SMU. And even though he was my shot put coach while I was there, he continues to be just a life mentor and making sure that I stay true to my core values. And I can always call upon him for advice and for him to push back courageously on things that I'm dealing with. And I think it's really important to always have that one person in your life, and I think that he is that for me. So he's a teacher, nothing more, and he's a life mentor. And I would hope that I could bring teacher importance to students to every conversation that I have.
Definitely. I think that we see our teachers day in and day out, and so it's really awesome that you see the power that teachers hold, and it's really awesome having somebody at the top that kind of sets the tone for everybody. What are some of your other priorities as being superintendent?
So I think I have a lot to learn, number one. I think a big priority is to learn the community that I'm serving, and I think that my curiosity about our community is probably very different than someone who comes from here. So I'm not from here. I don't have alliances. I don't have friends that live in the system. I don't know many people. I have a few friends now. I'm excited about that. But I think that my main priority is going to be understanding the community that I serve, and always understand that the parents' children are their children. And they entrust with me and with the teachers and with our principals and everybody that work here their most important thing in their life, and that's their child. And so that will be my priority, is to make sure that we can align the work of the district to the values of our parents. And that's going to be challenging. I mean, we have all kinds of different perspectives, and we have different cultures. But I think that my job is to serve all students, and I do hope that I can do a great job with that.
Going on now, because yesterday I know was the groundbreaking for Gene Coleman Elementary School. I know you were there. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was exciting. That was my first groundbreaking as a superintendent. I found getting to meet Mr. Coleman and his family to be just super outstanding, just the nicest people, humble, appreciative. Those are all wonderful things when you're doing groundbreakings. What I found really interesting, and I'm going to go back to the power of a teacher, is that she had former students there for her groundbreaking, even though she wasn't there with them. And so I find a lot of value in that, and I was happy to be part of it. I will know next time not to wear high heel shoes and a pair of boots, but ultimately it was great to see the friends and family, the history, which I'm just now learning on my own. And so there's no better way to learn it than to be engaged in it and to get to meet the people who basically have been part of this community for 65, 70 years. So It's an exciting time for me.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking on community, I read that we recently opened up our tennis courts to the public. Talk a little bit more about your partnership with the community and the focus that you want to bring to that.
Yeah, I think that regardless of where tax dollars are spent, they are tax dollars. And I overheard a conversation one time where it was like, I don't really understand, like I pay taxes to the city, I pay taxes to the school, to me it really doesn't matter, it's still tax dollars. So facilities are a big deal. I've had some experience in dealing with facilities and sharing of facilities. Tennis court seems to be a big priority here. And I had received a couple, questions and feedback, which is feedback is a gift, and started the conversations with Coach York and his staff, and felt that, we need more tennis courts. Is it going to hurt to open up a few more so that our community has them? And I think that we made a lot of people happy. But what was most important to me was to see the smiles on student faces last night. Because I think we did have a few that signed up to speak on behalf of that, and so that decision was already made. And then to see the response of the student, where they still got up and spoke, and it was more about thank you. And I think that's how you build true community, is by it's not about give and take. It's about compromising sometimes, but it's really about serving the community, and it's their tax dollars. It's not mine. And yes, we want to protect our facilities, and we want our facilities to be beautiful, but they are beautiful. And there's no reason to think that we can't maintain that same beauty throughout, whether we open the tennis courts today or we don't open them tomorrow. So
yeah, that's so amazing. And I know everyone, including me, is excited to go back to a fully normal year next year. How are preparations coming for this next school year?
So I think the district itself and the community took a stand late in the semester on the wearing of masks. And I know there's two sides to every story, and so I'm excited about seeing kids' faces. I'm excited for kids to see their teachers' faces. I'm excited about having meetings and interactions with kids where we're not wearing a mask. I'm excited to see smiles again. And I'm excited that our kids are going to have some normalcy in their day coming back to school next year. And so I think in preparation for that, we're looking at doing some possible restructuring at central office. I'm taking a lot of time and making some decisions regarding that restructure so that it delivers and supports students in their classrooms on a daily basis, and that job is not easy, especially because I don't know the community like people that have been here for a long time, and so I'm leaning very much into conversations with people who've served here for a while, but also trying to make some good decisions on does that necessarily align with where we should be going. So I have a different perspective. I have an outside lens, and I think that's exciting, but ultimately I'm just happy that we're going to be back to some normalcy. But I also want to say that there's some silver lining in what we learned through that pandemic and how resilient our students are. And we just got our scores back, which I know STAR is not the end game, but I think that I'm very proud to say that our kids are competing with some of the very best in the state of Texas and in our region, and I'm excited about that, and that should be shared out in the next board meeting. So just overall how our kids are performing even during a pandemic comparatively. So I'm excited about that. That is, guess what, a tribute to students, but it's a tribute to teachers. They're the ones who had the toughest job in the system. Yeah. And so I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Through the conversations you've been having with other people in the school and in the community, what are some things that you've learned about Midlothian so far?
So I've learned a lot. I've learned that we have some very conservative values that we want to maintain in our community. But I also have learned that we have an opportunity to engage in meeting the needs of all students, right? And that to me is exciting because I think that, we have lots of students who, maybe a four-year degree isn't the most important thing to them, but creating opportunities for all kids is something that really excites me. And so in hearing about all the growth that's about to happen in our community, again, meeting with the city, and I guess not the city, but the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development, I think that there's some real opportunity to build out a true engaging curriculum for all kids. And there's going to be some kids who are just advanced academic achievers, and there are going to be some kids who have no desire to do that. And so building out programming to sustain an engagement and interest from all kids is something that I'm really passionate about. And I think it's really awesome to see the city kind of wrapping around that. And that is something that's unique to Midlothian that I'm so happy to be part of, because I think that when we share the responsibility of growing our students and that next generation to lead the world, that's exciting, right? And I think that we have, it's like a sweet spot, if you will. The magical mystique of Midlothian is what I hear. And I don't understand that fully, but I think probably within the next 1 or 2 years that I can really engage with what does that really mean, and then defining that. And I'm excited about that. I also think that leadership is important to me. And I want every student that walks through our doors and leaves our doors when they leave to go on to do their next thing outside of our district to be a leader, and to be a leader of themselves first. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about sharing the things that I know about that, and then empowering. That's exciting.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Fay, for spending some time with me today. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you.